yourself you'd finally start a new habit, like being consistent with prayer, only to find yourself making the exact same excuses day after day? Well, today we're going to dig into why that happens, and it's all based on the really powerful book, I Missed a Prayer by Islam Gamal. We're going to look at why this is so effortless for some people and a constant uphill battle for others.
This line from the author, it's not just a sentence, it's a feeling. It's that sinking feeling of a recurring failure. It's a cycle so many of us know. You promise yourself you'll do better, you miss the mark, and then you're left with this heavy weight of guilt, only to do it all over again.
Okay, so to really get into this, let's start with a really simple observation the author makes, one that a lot of us have probably seen, and one that basically sparked his entire journey.
I want you to just picture this for a second. Day in, day out, whether it's raining or shining, this old man, probably leaning on his cane, just makes his way to the mosque. And he's got this peaceful look on his face. Seeing this simple, unwavering dedication every single day started a really deep and troubling question inside the author.
He just couldn't wrap his head around it, right? How is prayer this seamless, this natural part of this man's day, while for him it was this constant internal battle, just filled with hesitation and a long list of excuses? And this slide, it just perfectly lays out that internal battle, doesn't it? The devout man's action is so simple, he just goes. But for the person who's hesitating, it's a total mental storm. A flood of what feel like really logical excuses just pops into your head every time. Oh, I'm too busy, I'm way too tired, I'll for sure start tomorrow. Suddenly, a simple act becomes incredibly complicated.
So this whole internal conflict led the author to a huge realization. He was living inside a mental prison that he had built himself. He calls it the world of one day. And, it's a place that might feel a little too familiar to a lot of us.
The world of one day is actually a pretty comfortable place to live. It's built on this promise that we'll change in the future, so we don't have to put in any effort right now. We tell ourselves that, when life gets less crazy or when we feel more motivated, that's when we'll finally get consistent. But it's a total trap, and it just thrives on us doing nothing.
And just look at how these excuses work. It's pretty clever, actually. They start out sounding super practical, like my job is too much, or I'm just exhausted. But then they kind of morph into something deeper, a way to shift the responsibility off of ourselves. We start telling ourselves that those consistent people must have some special ability we don't, or that we're just waiting for some sign to make it all easy. And that line right there, that became the author's personal mantra. It's a soothing lie, right? It eases the guilt we feel for not doing anything in the present by putting all the pressure on a future that never, ever arrives. It kept him completely stuck, missing prayer after prayer.
Okay, so how do you break a cycle like that? Well, after years of being stuck, a single thought completely shifted the author's whole perspective and started to tear down that trap. See, this was the foundation of his whole one-day world. This belief that some people are just chosen, that they're gifted with a discipline that he just didn't have. But that whole idea completely falls apart when you think about accountability.
And this question right here, this is the whole turning point. Seriously, think about it. If consistency was just a gift handed out to a lucky few, why would anyone be held accountable for it? It makes no sense. The fact that there's reward and consequence proves it's about our choice and our effort, not some kind of lottery. And that was it, the breakthrough. He finally understood that he was waiting for a future that he was supposed to be building. Those perfect circumstances, that magical motivation, they aren't coming. Waiting was not a strategy. It was the problem itself. If he kept on waiting, he'd die waiting. This image just captures that new mindset perfectly, doesn't it? That wall represents the world of one day, built from our own excuses, brick by brick. And the solution isn't to wait around hoping it'll magically crumble. It's to decide to break through it yourself, starting right now. So, once you've escaped the trap, what's next? Well, the author lays out the path forward. And get this, it's not some complicated 12-step plan. It's a simple, but absolutely profound decision about how you look at the present moment. The path forward really just boils down to these 3 mental shifts. First, you gotta admit it. Acknowledge that you're in the trap. Second, accept that the perfect day to start is a total myth. It will never come. And finally, you have to realize that the power to change is right here, right now. You don't wait for one day, you create it. And here's the crazy irony the author points out. We skip prayer to save a few minutes, or a bit of energy, right? But what's the real cost? A few minutes of effort brings you peace, while the easy choice of skipping it often leads to hours of guilt and just beating yourself up mentally. The path of least resistance is actually the most draining one.
And this is really the core of it all. The difference between the person who struggles and the person who is consistent isn't some superpower. It's not a special gift or unique personality trait. It's just a decision. A decision to stop using the strategy of excuses and to finally adopt one of action.
Ultimately, the entire book leaves us with this one final, powerful question. It takes that passive, distant dream of one day and turns it into a direct challenge for this very moment. It reframes the whole idea of procrastination, not as waiting for the right time, but as avoiding the only time we ever really have, right now.